Welcome back to the Torque Test channel. In the past year, we've tested 229 different tools and recorded data from 1,700 separate tests, the majority of those tools ones that have come out this past year. Here are the top 10 standouts in our opinion from those episodes, link for each below. Number 10. DeWalt's new cordless ratchets, specifically the 12-volt version, because both ratchets are a first for DeWalt in the category, which is cool to begin with from such a big name. But the 12-volt in our testing showing up the 20-volt max was even more cool. This type of form factor isn't quite as small as a battery in the handle type tool can be, hence why the 10th place here. But considering power stack batteries are now a thing to enjoy this overall size, and the fact that it's not advertised as a high-speed ratchet, and yet where the rubber meets the road on difficult to thread down nylon lock nuts, it scored the second fastest time of any ratchet we've tested, all while still being able to spike up to 72 foot-pounds of torque from a 3/8 ratchet. This is not just a good first effort from DeWalt, but a damn good cordless ratchet all said. More models to be tested in 2023 for sure. Number 9. This one's a bit out of left field, but an Amazon brand by the name of Cici. Yes, a buy it only as a kit sort of bargain combo deal impact wrench from a brand that's not only stolen the show once in our Amazon brand round of tests, but twice with the introduction of this Gen 2 Cici mid-torque impact wrench, which made a standout 479 foot-pounds from a brand few people, including us, have ever heard from until we bought it. That tool's power and overall points-wise, considering everything on our rankings, puts it about on par with a Milwaukee Gen 2 mid-torque and beating a rigid mid-torque as well as everything else on screen here. All for about $139 to $159 as a kit with 2 batteries. So does that make it basically the best thing ever? Well, no, there's a reason it's on its own ranking with other Amazon-only brands. That's basically all the warranty you're going to expect to get from this one is from the Amazon site. That said, we've had the first gen Cici impact wrench out in the field with a viewer for nearly a year now without issues, and we just gave this one to a viewer for the same purpose. We'll let you know if and when they kick the bucket. Number 8. The Craftsman High Torque. Among the high torque introductions in 2022, we think this tool is a good buy. It has some updated and better parts like epoxied windings, higher RPM motor, and heavier hammers compared to the older brother but also made by Stanley DeWalt DCF 899, all while being rated for less torque, making it a bit of a sleeper that we feel you wouldn't know about unless you've seen it here on the channel, which is sort of unfair. Specs should just sort of be specs, right? But either way you look at it, at a normal retail of $229 as a kit, it puts it under what a DCF 899 still costs bare, and that puts its rough bare tool price equivalent to the existing brushed, huge, less powerful Craftsman impact, and less money than a Hercules High Torque, which was trying to take on that DeWalt DCF 899, and did, but doesn't beat this Craftsman by our math. There's a lot of value in this tool, and it's likely getting overlooked based on just what's written on the box. Number 7, the Milwaukee Extended Reach High-Speed M12 Ratchet. Okay, yes, this recent introduction, in case you haven't seen it, is as expensive as an M18 High Torque impact wrench for some reason, don't ask us why, but it seems Milwaukee is continuing to make tools explicitly for mechanics like this one, and we love to see it. You gotta give them props for doing so. The performance of Milwaukee's high-speed ratchets really opened a door for people doing real work with these tools compared to models past in the cordless category. Despite the name of the channel you're watching it on now, these tools aren't all about torque. They are nut runners, and speed is the name of the game, and the M12 High Speed has tested fastest from everything so far for us. Sure, it would be nice to have a little bit more torque than these do make, which is my only gripe with the existing model when we tested it. Our Goldilocks cordless ratchet might be somewhere in between the DeWalt 12-volt and this one, but coming out with an extended reach version like this tool, with the overall footprint of this thing being most closely matching the traditional hand ratchet than any other professional offering, it sort of checks all the boxes. Ideally, something comes along with this kind of access, size, and speed for less coin, but until then, it's all about the 2569 from M12. Number 6. This one's not at all new, but we did test it for the first time this year. Coil insert thread repairs. Man, are these things strong. What stood out most to us is seemingly, and this is most interestingly, the less you spend, the better they performed for us. In our testing and an equivalent engine block material from our head bolt episode, coil type inserts were the least expensive, and sort of did the best, all exceeding grade 8 hardware levels of strength. But even within coil inserts, V-Coil from the UK, which cost us less than Helicoil, did better and came with a German-made high-speed steel tap. And overall, the Permacoil did best, which is similarly cheap or even cheaper. A lot to like from this otherwise modest-looking, just wire coil squiggly pigtail-looking things. I know I do this kind of repair with a lot less fingers crossing now after seeing the results, and maybe you will too. Number 5. And with another sort of oddball, we have the Interstate Batteries flashlight. I know, what is that doing there, you're thinking? Well, this LIG 6100 model is a $90 to $100 flashlight that advertises 8,000 lumens and made closer to 10,000 for us. Not a common occurrence in this series of flashlights that we test. Within a category that included Streamlight, ThruNite, Nitecore, and Olight, we added this one as a sort of unknown Amazon add-on to, well, if I'm being honest, provide some contrasting poor performance perhaps on lumen output, runtime, whatever it may be, to sort of mix things up within the episode, but instead made both beyond its 8,000 lumen claim and beyond its 2 hours runtime claim, which we felt was a standout, and it seems you guys did even more so, as the light quickly went out of stock within days of the episode and has gone, by our records, out of stock multiple times for you guys buying it each time it comes back into stock, which, hey, might not be super helpful to you right now if that's still the case, but check the link below. Good is just good, so props to Interstate Batteries of all brands is deserved here. I do find it a bit funny that the battery inside is unbranded, considering the brand name, but moving on. Number 4, Right Grip 2.0 wrenches. I know, less power tools than we were expecting when we first put together this list and whittling it down, but if we're talking strictly performance, the only open-end wrench to max out our test setup has been the Right Grip 2.0 combination wrenches. Made in the US, cheaper than Snap-on Flank Drive Plus, but works at least as well as those, and somehow with some of the least aggressive cuts and grooves on the jaw end to get that done. A lot of the feedback we got from you guys in the comment section when testing specialty jaws is that while getting the bolt out is nice, leaving marks on those fasteners can be pretty annoying. Designs like this one from Icon and Milwaukee, while by the numbers it's hard to say anything other than that they do work, you might need a spare set of wrenches on less stubborn bolts to not be constantly buying special flange head automotive bolts to replace those that you scar. So that's extra coin in your pocket that you could instead put towards the admittedly sparsely stocked and sometimes hard to find options from what really is an industrial brand in Right Tools that leave most bolts looking new when they remove them. If these things were stocked on the shelves the way Icon is, let me tell you, it would shake things up in the professional side of the market where using wrenches to make a living, that price is not all that scary for a bread and butter tool like this. They're quite good. Number 3, the Hercules Ultra Torque. Now, I'm the last person around here to easily support naming schemes like Ultra Torque in a world of high torques. I mean, what's next? Mega Torque? But their high torque model being basically just the older DeWalt DCF 899 performance-wise, and this Ultra Torque not being much more coin, and both of them seeing a permanent cost reduction after these tools came out and our video dropped, well, this Ultra Torque is sort of a no-brainer category of purchase if you own Hercules batteries. And with them announcing Hercules brushless tools now having a 5-year warranty, simple swap across the counter, this has become more of a no-brainer even if you don't own Hercules yet. Harbor Freight is usually on these lists around here for the wrong reasons, like overinflated torque claims and tools that rattle themselves apart on the budget end of our spectrum. And yet, while many of our viewers in the comment section question this one's long-term durability, I mean, at the same time, this model's main rival in the Milwaukee that it matched blow for blow in power was making their own new high torque that, let's say, is less manufacturing intensive, with the H96B matter that they've since done well to pull off the shelves due to problems with those. So it's worth at least holding judgment on this Ultra Torque model until evidence is shown of otherwise. We think it's a good buy. And speaking of Milwaukee, I mean, they haven't come out with a whole lot of new stuff this year that we test, and many of the models that have, well, they sort of didn't make the cut here. So I hope you like DeWalt, because this year DeWalt has fully leaned into their transition from sleeping giant to kicking your door down power tool players of 2022 with introduction after introduction of, frankly, just brutally powerful tools. This DCS 438 is no exception. Their 3-inch cutoff tool Size-wise, you might compare this most obviously to the Milwaukee 3-inch cutoff tool, which despite the voltage difference, which didn't help DeWalt on their ratchets, is within 8% of the overall footprint to that M12, but we found is twice, well really over twice, as powerful, all things considered. I'm normally one to recommend Air if you have an Airline, and it's usually because of this size and price difference, but the performance of this DeWalt cutoff tool is enough to buy a spare power stack and just leave it clipped into the tool. This is a monster of a package right here. Stepping away from just the numbers and talking about opinion though, this hasn't stopped DeWalt from making some questionable marketing decisions like rating this tool for watts at the motor. And to compare to what exactly? Certainly not Milwaukee, not to Air Tools unless you want to throw a calculator at that, and not their very own other tools such as drills, which use a separate form of unit watts out. This cutoff tool is literally twice the performance of what someone might be comparing it to for the money, yet you'd have no way of knowing that without just buying one first to find out. It's a great tool, eats through exhaust pipe like nothing. And at number 1, we have DeWalt continuing to dominate much of 2022's new releases here, and a well-deserved one in this case with the DCF 891 mid-torque and DCF 900 high-torque impact wrenches. Continuing on with head-scratching marketing, these two new models also happen to look nearly identical to the 894 and 899 models they replace, despite being light years ahead of them in performance. So while carrying a higher price point, the average Joe walking around in the store might easily skip past one of these well-known looking models without us doing our part here to point out what a massive step forward these two impact wrenches really are. The big boy DCF 900 is basically a bully. This is from hundreds of models we've tested, the most powerful half-inch impact you can buy. From all of our metrics, if you come across a bolt that can stress this impact wrench, it will punish you and the socket along with that bolt until something gives. DeWalt impact harmonics being sort of what they are, in the inconsistency we get based on sort of how you hold it, we've since found that it won't always be the first impact to remove a bolt blow for blow, but across all sizes and rustednesses, the DCF 900 takes the top spot compared to Milwaukee, Hilti, Snap-on, Matco, really anyone in 2022. That said, after all this time, I feel the more impressive still is the DCF 891, the value proposition on this one being quite appealing in that if you own this mid-torque, you may very well not need a high torque at all for many of you. It's that far of a step up in power compared to the 894 old model that it's replacing really any other mid-torque on the market. Truthfully, I still reach for smaller impacts first, the Gen 2 from Milwaukee, other Air tools. It would be interesting to see what DeWalt could do with their current designs, but forced into a 6 to 6 1/4 inch length requirement. But the list of what an M18 mid-torque can't remove is decently long for us, while the DCF 891, that list is shockingly short. With the gains we see from this brand, with bigger and badder batteries being pretty across the board, the 5 amp hour power stack from DeWalt really makes this yellow part of the list we're showing here even more worthy of keeping their spots in our opinion. But that's all this list is, folks. Our opinion, how we see things. Tune in every Friday to see the raw numbers for yourself to make up your own mind. We have a lifetime of rankings in the link below if you want to get all that data at your fingertips. We really appreciate everything you guys do for us, just tuning in, interacting with us and our fellow viewers. Appreciate you guys. Happy New Year's.